Welcome into another edition of Celtics Roundtable, a part of CLNS Media. I'm Evan Valenti alongside Matt Ignal, Lucky Spike, and we're lucky to be joined by a writer for Celtics blog. He's done a lot of work the past couple of weeks, especially about some particular certain player that might go number one overall. His name's Markelle Fultz. Maybe you've heard of him. We're being joined by Alex Kungu, and writer for Celtics blog. And you guys, if you guys listened to Part of My Take, a Barstool Sports podcast, you would know about Grit Week. That was last week for them. Well, Alex is going through Fultz Week, where he's tackling a different Markelle Fultz issue in different pieces. And the most recent one, most importantly about his defense, gets a lot of attention, a lot of flack. We've talked about this, it seems like ad nauseum throughout the year. But Alex has done something that nobody else has really done, gone back and watched the tape, every single game of Markelle Fultz. And Alex, one of the things when you talk about Markelle, you hear about all the good things offensively. You hear about his poise in the pick and roll, his outside shooting, his ability to get to all three levels of the defense. But his defense always gets a knock. So basically, I want to open this up to you. Is that a fair knock on this kid?
Hey, first of all, thanks for having me. And to answer your question, no, it's not. Surprisingly, it's not, which was to just give some context to the story. When I originally made this story, my angle was going to be, yeah, Markelle Fultz is bad at defense, but here's how he can get better. So I was not actually expecting to watch this and see, like, a good defender. I was waiting to see the defensive mislapses. I was waiting to see him get beat consistently backdoor, get torched by players we'll never see in the NBA. All that stuff is what I was expecting to see. But I kept watching the games, and it just didn't happen. You just didn't see him get beat. You didn't see him lose his man. You didn't see him lose track. He was consistently, for the most part, always in the right place, always making the right plays, even at times helping out his teammates to a fault for him. So I think when you actually go back and watch the tape, you find out that he's actually not a bad defender, which to me was eye-opening because, like you said, wherever you go, whether that's Draft Express, whether that's the amateur scout, even the real scouts, they all tell you, watch for his defense, not all that. But
where's that coming from then? Because these people have watched the tape, right? So, I mean, where's this misconception then coming from?
I think it's a combination of the fact that, one, Washington themselves is a really bad team. They're a really bad defensive team, for sure. Like, it starts from the players not necessarily putting a lot of effort. There's a bad system in place by Coach Romar, which is probably why he's not the coach anymore. And then it also just bleeds from the fact that the way Markelle Fultz plays, doesn't play with, in my opinion, he doesn't play with a lot of outward passion. Like, he's not Marcus Smart. He's not someone that's like Josh Jackson, hyper competitive, till you see it. So I think that kind of laid back type of attitude, along with the fact that the defense isn't that bad, that defense is so bad, it kind of gives this impression that you kind of just want you only see what you kind of want to see in the sense. So it's because they're so bad defensively as a team, it's easy just to look at Markelle Fultz, look at his play style, and then kind of just say, you know what, he struggles on that end. He's not great. And honestly, it's just not the case. He does put that effort.
It's just funny because, if you look at him just without anybody else on the floor, just look at his body, look at his frame, 6'4", 6'10" wingspan. I mean, a guy with that kind of length and that kind of athleticism usually projects as at least an average defender, maybe slightly above average, and then in the right, teaching, the right training, and the right coaching, can become at least an impact defender at the NBA level. And you look at him that 6'10" wingspan. He's going up against other point guards. I don't care how tall or small they are. He's going to be a troublesome force for them. And in this NBA, modern NBA, where switching on defense is becoming more of a primary thing guys look for. He looks like a guy that can switch onto a 2 or switch onto a 3 in very small situations and be able to hold his own for a little while. And then he just gets that mantra of no, he's just bad. We're moving on. And there's really no explanation for it.
Effort is one thing where as long as you put it, you'll at least be an average defender. And Markelle Fultz puts effort all the time. And for most of the time, he's not he's always on the court. So it's even at the end of the games, he's still taking charges. He's still sliding his feet, moving down, trying to always make the right defensive play all the time. And it's just confusing because I just don't know where this thing came from. I don't know how people honestly watched all these games and sat there and really said he's not a good defender. It's just not true. He does all the things you want to do. Like, he knows where the ball is. He knows where he is. He knows where his man is. He slides his feet. He blocks shots. He gets steals. He cuts off lanes. Like, he literally does it all on defense. Maybe not at as high of a level as maybe like a Josh Jackson or Jonathan Isaac, but he does it well enough that coupled with his offensive game, it shouldn't be ridiculed the way it is.
Do you feel like you're taking crazy pills at this point, Alex? Because I haven't heard like this take really anywhere up to this point. I actually thought he was pretty good in the U18 tournament. I thought his defense was pretty good there. When I was watching tape, I don't know, like you're saying that he slides his feet really well. I don't know if I saw that too much. It's kind of hard to tell, though, with Washington's zone.
See, I think it's understandable to be skeptical, and I also think it's important to understand that I'm not calling him an elite defender. For one, he's not elite. He makes mistakes. I just want that to be out there. Like, I do understand he does make mistakes. What I think I'm trying to fight the motion of is that he's just such a bad defender. Like, he's a sieve. Like, he's not going to just die on screens like our other star point guard, or like he's not just going to like come out here and like not try, and it's going to be some big transition to get him how to put effort on defense. That's not where he is as a player. There are technical stuff, like maybe how he closes out on certain people. He might take a weird angle. Sometimes like he might fall asleep like you see regular NBA players do. He does make those mistakes, but I think as you watch, especially later in the season, when he starts getting more comfortable, you start seeing that he was at times like the leader of that defense. Like, he's pointing to his teammates. It was like, honestly, like, it was eye-opening. I couldn't believe it. Just seeing his reputation and then seeing it on like tape, it just didn't match up. And my best bet is that people just watched Draft Express and made their assumptions from there. That's why I could see it.
I think honestly, like playing a bad zone as a team too will like make you look awful. And for me, it's like I was looking like James Harden compared to him, that like Fultz almost had 2 blocks a game, and Harden was close to 0, and the steals were pretty much the same. It's like there is effort there in stretches. Like, blocks are highly competitive.
When you look at a zone defense too, like as a guy coming from Syracuse and watching the best zone in college, play zone for 4 years. When you have a bad part of your zone, it's easy to pick apart. Like, Markelle Fultz might not even be in the play. Like, he might be on the opposite side of the floor, and they just attack one side of the zone and the entire. I don't know if this ever happened, but you can easily pick apart a zone. You can easily find the weak spot in it.
I think you guys make a really good point about team defense and like how we evaluate these guys regarding defense, because like I do think at times we kind of overrate like individual defense per se. And sometimes, like, when we're evaluating these prospects, we're grading them on this scale of, like, well, can they be an elite defender? Can they all of a sudden come out here and stick, like, 1 to 4 and be, like, these great players? And I think the proper curve that we should be grading them is just, like, can they fit into a team system? Can they do, like, what a coach would ask them? Like, what is their most likely role? And have they shown the ability to do that? And it should kind of stop there. And for the most part, you'll find that he has very solid technique. And I do think that can translate to NBA. Granted, I don't think it's going to be – because the level the Celtics play and the level of perimeter defense we watch as Celtics fans every day is a very high level. So you'll notice the kind of drop off.
Yeah, you talk about the Celtics operating competitively at a high level, like defensively. You know what also operates at a high level? HelloFresh does. It's the meal kit delivery service that makes cooking more fun, so you can focus on the whole experience, not just the final plate. Each week, HelloFresh creates new, delicious recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take around 30 minutes so that everybody, from novices to seasoned home-cooked chefs short on time, can make tasty meals. HelloFresh sources the freshest ingredients measured to the exact quantities needed, so there's no food waste. And now they're offering light spring meals and have just included breakfast options, the most important meal of the day. The loyal listeners of this show and CLNS Media get a very special offer, guys. Get this, because you are a loyal listener to the Boston Celtics newsfeed and to this particular podcast. You can use the promo code BEAT30 for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. That's Beat 30 for $30 off your first week. Again, support this podcast and HelloFresh for free simply by visiting HelloFresh.com and entering the promo code BEAT30. Back to the roundtable.
While I can't, get all the way there with Alex, I got to definitely go back and review some tape and then just sort of, reevaluate, because I think sometimes, we sort of, get these notions in our head, and then everything just sort of, seems to confirm that. I think that's sort of what Alex was getting, and I think that's anchoring, right? But yeah, I don't think he's like Dennis Smith or anything out there who just didn't close out at times, or just completely left the play and didn't fight through anything. I definitely don't think he was on that level. But I guess I just didn't see anything from him that was too inspiring. But Alex, your last time on the pod, you talked a little bit about who Markelle Fultz might be best suited to guard. And you talked a little bit about how you thought that the Celtics might just put him on the least threatening wing player. Have you reevaluated your position on this at all?
Oh, no, he's still a rookie. You put him on the easiest defender possible. No matter, I do think he has the tools to be an okay defender. And I do think eventually, he could end up being even a good defender. My point was that I don't think he's a sieve, or I don't think he's someone that's just going to get blown by. Saying that, though, he is still a 19-year-old coming to the culture of a winning team. Teams won 53 games. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. And on top of that, they have a lot of good defenders. So I think where you want to start him with is still, mismatches. People that most likely maybe smaller guards where he can give them a couple steps and still just kind of shadow them because he has a wingspan to do that. I still think that even for a rookie, I think by January, February, the All-Star break, when he starts getting into the system like Jalen, he'll be able to be locked in enough that he could stick maybe the Kyle Korvers of the world, people who are always running and doing a lot of off-ball.
So, Alex, if you were to grade out Markelle Fultz's defense, how would you characterize his effort level, and how would you characterize his defensive instincts?
Okay, so for defensive instincts, I think that's a solid B+. And I think where most people could see it is the blocks and some of the steals he makes. It shows he shows in a very advanced level of anticipation, similar to your man Lonzo Ball. They're very good at anticipating plays. And I think a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they're also floor generals on the floor. So they see they see how the other offenses are moving. They beat guys to spots. And I think all that comes together, I think that'll translate well to the next level. In terms of effort, I would probably put it more at a B-, because he gives effort, but there's also times where understandably he plays a lot of minutes. So if the college game is 40 minutes per game, he averages 35.7. His breaks come in the first half. So he's playing probably 20 minutes straight every night. So there's times where he just doesn't have the energy to honestly just go out there, and then your team is down 20.
And then I was impressed with his defense in U18. So now I got to go back and look at all this footage in this new light and evaluate it for myself. But you're at least making me question my assumptions, and that's a win for you right there.
The one thing about the Celtics is, though, you're going to have guys, pending who's left of this roster shakeup that's probably coming this upcoming offseason, but you have to think about who's going to be on the team still. Jalen's going to be on the team, Marcus going to be on the team, Jay Crowder could still be on the team, Avery Bradley could still be on the team. Guys that are, tenacious defenders just won't let him, they won't let that effort slide, especially, Brad Stevens not going to let it slide. Danny would never let that slide if he were more involved than he really is. But, there's just so many guys, and that culture's already in place. This is why, building the culture up was so important, and this is why a lot of people, when they go back to say, oh, why the Celtics contending? Why are they trying to do this? Well, they're trying to build the culture, and this culture now is, you don't get to take plays off defensively, and if you do, there's going to be 3 or 4 guys that are going to be down your throat immediately, with their defensive effort. Hey, you got to pick up the slack. We're busting our ass out here. You can't do that kind of stuff.
For however bad IT is on defense, he does give effort pretty much regardless.
Yeah, that's he really does move his feet. It's really when you watch him play, it's really only because he's short. He's always in the right position. I'll give you that's so true.
Yeah.
So I think we're all feeling a little better about Markelle Fultz's defense. Still, again, the number 1 overall prospect that anybody's board, most likely going to be taken number 1 overall by the Boston Celtics. He's been in Boston all week long. Everybody's talking about it. And now I think Matthew feels a little better. I definitely feel better. Lucky probably feels a little better, too, about his defensive chops as Boston, again, paves the road and rolls out the red carpet for Markelle Fultz with the first overall pick. Big shout out to Alex Kungu for joining us here today. He's a writer for Celtics Blog. He's been doing Markelle Fultz stuff for the past couple of weeks. Make sure you check him out on Celtics Blog. He's all over it. For Matthew Ignal, for Lucky's Pipe, I'm Evan Valenti. We'll see you next time on Celtics Roundtable as a part of the CLNS Media Network.